For better or for worse, I spend far more time in my office than I do on the water. I'm hoping that's going to change in a few years. But, you know, the time in the office is what finances my fishing gear and my fishing trips, so I can't really hate on it. But what I've done to make my office a more livable place is I have filled it to the brim. I mean, there are rain suits everywhere. There are pictures of trips I've been on, all sorts of little knickknacks and ephemera related to my travels and to the fishing industry in general. So I thought I'd go through some of those that are particularly meaningful to me. And one of the ones that stands out is baseball related. And I was a baseball fan before I was a fishing fan. When I was 6 years old, because my dad was from New York, I became a Yankees fan. And that coincided with one of the prime times in New York Yankees history. It was 1976, and they had a little dynasty from 76 really through 81. They had great players, Reggie Jackson, Catfish Hunter, Thurman Munson, Greg Nettles. And on 5 separate occasions, they had a manager named Billy Martin. And Martin had been a manager with other teams. He was with the Rangers, with the Tigers, and later with the A's and a few others, I believe. And he was known for getting fired from the Yankees, so much so that it became a running joke on Miller Lite commercials and things like that. But baseball eventually sort of gave way in my life to fishing. I'm still a baseball fan, but frankly, at this point in my life, I don't have the time or the interest to watch 162 games and follow it closely through 162 games plus the playoffs. But I do still love it, and it's an important part of my life. And because my father and my brother and I are still bound through baseball, it's one of the ways that we relate to each other, it will always have a special place. And I'm sure my brother was thinking of that when he bought me several things, one of which is this hat when he went to the 1998 World Series where the Yankees swept the Padres in 4 games. But another one's this. It's the Billy Martin Sneaky Snake. And it's a lure that he got me. I don't know if he bought it at a flea market or an antique store or he found it somewhere else, but it's something that he was very proud to give me. So it has a treasured place on the shelf behind me where I can turn around and I kind of laugh at it every day. If you can see, the Sneaky Snake is better than Rapala. I don't know why Sneaky Snake and Rapala are both in quotation marks. And clearly it's probably not better than Rapala because Rapala is still around and the Sneaky Snake is gone. But it was a lure sold at one time, and I was trying to figure out why they got Billy to endorse it. They also got Harold Ensley, who was a popular television personality, to endorse it. If you read it, here are the instructions on how to use it. Using a spin or casting rod, cast the Sneaky Snake, jiggle 2 or 3 times. This will give the appearance of a crippled or injured lizard or snake. Then reel it in slowly, and the Sneaky Snake will automatically retrieve in a snake-like motion, leaving a natural wake. And obviously there's some lures that still do that. If you think historically, there was the Bill Norman Snatrix. We have all sorts of hard lures that act like a snake, except for the fact that this looks to have been pretty poorly made and has low quality terminal tackle. It might work. I'm not going to take it out of the package, but if you're inclined to get one. But I was kind of wondering why Billy Martin was chosen as the spokesperson for it. And I went back and I did a little research. I actually, when I was a kid, because I was so obsessed with baseball, I read Billy Martin's autobiography, which was called Number One, which was his number on his back. And I remember there was a hunting story. He and Mickey Mantle were close friends, really drinking partners more than anything else. And Mantle was from Oklahoma. Martin was from the Bay Area in California. And they went hunting on a farm in Oklahoma. And Mantle somehow tricked Martin, saying that the farmer had turned them down or something like that. If I remember the story correctly, Martin ended up going and shooting 2 of the guy's cows. I have no idea how inebriated they were at the time. But Billy was indeed a fisherman. If you look back, you can see pictures of the Yankees on various fishing trips, both in saltwater and as well bass fishing. Him and Whitey Ford and Mickey Mantle bass fishing. And in fact, it turns out that when Martin was hired by George Steinbrenner for the first time to be the Yankees manager, it turns out he was on a Colorado fly fishing trip. And it was back in the pre-cell phone days. So it was tough to track him down out there in the mountains. But they eventually did, and they obviously figured out ways to track him down because they hired and fired him on 5 separate occasions. So this is cool. I have this Sneaky Snake. It's something that I'll keep on my shelf forever. Reminds me of those great days watching those Yankee teams in the Bronx Zoo, which are memorable because it was the Bronx Zoo and the Bronx is burning and all those memorable Reggie and Billy Martin fighting in the dugout. The story of 25 players taking 25 cabs to the stadium. It was a great time to be a baseball fan. And it was sort of a binding moment for me and my dad still. My dad was a Yankees fan growing up in New York when Billy Martin was their second baseman. And he was never a star player, but he was an integral part of several World Series teams. So the fact that my brother knew to get this and found this for me is particularly meaningful as a family relic. And that's why it has a place of honor in my office today.